Hey, everybody. Thanks for downloading this post-game edition of the Black and Gold podcast. It's brought to you by Appalachian Commercial Real Estate, and they provide professional commercial real estate services in the Boone area. They provide sales, leasing, consulting, and appraisal services to owners and users of commercial real estate. For more information, check out their website, appalachiancre.com. And Charles, give the digits.
828-719-0408.
Man, I dropped my earbuds and had a coughing fit, so hope that went well. Didn't hear you. I assume you haven't forgotten James' number.
Sometimes I forget. Sometimes I do forget. And I have to double check myself because we never, as many times as we've done this, don't get me wrong. I'm always second guessing myself. Those first six, definitely no.
No, man, back in the day, do you know your old house number from when you grew up?
Yes.
What was it?
410.
410.
Like telephone number? Oh,
Yeah.
my address. Yeah. You want to know what it was? We don't have it anymore, so I'll give it away.
Yeah.
704-872-5855.
We were 772-785-6555. A lot of repeats. A lot of repeats in there growing up. Cool. So here we are. We're here to talk about the game against Georgia State in Atlanta. And you know what's funny? We said this on the pregame radio segment. This kind of our whole thing was, we played them 11 times in a row. We've beaten them 11 times in a row. The only two close games were in Boone last year and then in 2020. Every game in Atlanta has been a slaughter.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, our team just has a lot of juice when we come to Atlanta, and they don't. And we showed up. We showed up and had one of those scores that we like to see. 41-20. The lion's share of our damage coming in the third quarter, and the dam kind of burst from there. It was really never competitive once we got ahead. Sorry to send TJ Finley out of his fifth stop with a loss to App State, but Charles, I think that what you and I don't want to put words in your mouth here, but watching that second half yesterday, I just thought when they finally put in Noah, I thought this is the situation we wanted to be in, where pull back the reins. This is where we say we do feel like it's over, right? Like officially, it's where you put it on paper. I'm sure coaches feel like that, even when they don't put in their backup quarterback. But I feel like we've been waiting for a game like this since Charlotte. I think Charlotte, that's what that felt like. And even though Georgia State, I don't think is very good at all. It's nice to have one. It's nice to be in the even column at least, or to be even in conference play. That's what we wanted. It's what the doctor ordered.
So with Georgia State, there's something that's not quite right, and I think it does surround around TJ Finley. They had a plan to bring him in, I would assume, because they didn't like their quarterback room, and I don't know if he's the guy. I don't know if everybody else feels that way. He didn't look like the guy yesterday.
Yeah.
Or on Saturday. Obviously, Cameron Brown looked a lot better for them, and he had been playing some. But at that point, when he came in, the Dogs basically had been called off. We were in a good position, and we were just trying to secure the win, because when you go up 31-0, there's not a lot that can be done. But that was kind of the win we wanted. I think we struggled to run the ball against them more than we probably thought we were going to.
Yeah.
It certainly didn't hurt that Dominion kind of, hopefully, fingers crossed, just got a little dinged up, and then they just kept him out for a precautionary purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that's what that comes down to. And then Lewis got some work, but we got a lot of people involved yesterday.
Yeah.
A lot of guys, a lot of receivers. Sam Mbake had a good game. He got a couple of catches in there, and so that was good. And then obviously the tight ends did a lot of work, because if you look across, we had a lot of dudes catch passes, 23 completions overall, and Isaiah Cummings had 6, but it didn't feel like he was a part of the initial game plan, right?
Right.
Like it didn't seem like that we were trying to establish the tight end. The tight end we just found it working and we just kept going with it. But it does seem like Georgia State is struggling with like depth. They have like maybe 2 good players, like in total, like on offense, and you just can't survive like that in the Sun Belt. They may be in as bad a shape as I've ever seen them, honestly. I think Del McGee has now won 4 games, in a year and a half, and so people that year and a half mark is when people start questioning things.
Yeah.
And so, but no, it was the game we needed. We'd go down there and just get it done real quick. Very workmanlike. I was a little concerned a little early with pulling JJ when we did, but I mean it worked out. But it did feel like it was a little early at that point. But hey, I can't argue with the result. Dude was spectacular yesterday. 4 touchdowns, 300 yards. That's man, it was a good game. I was like kind of slightly surprised how easily we took care of them. I guess just based off what we know of this team a little bit, but we were good on defense outside of just giving up some passing yards in the second half. We played really well.
Yeah. I think I was more surprised. You said that just a second ago, that we beat them the way we did, but really not using the run game. Like I thought that's how we would have done it. Is just kind of bleeding them a little bit and just kind of milking the clock. And that's not what happened. To your earlier point, we punted 4 times in the first half and didn't punt again the rest of the game. And JJ is still only game number 2 for him as the starter. The offense does need to find an identity. Maybe Isaiah Cummings is going to be a more of a central figure. And he's already been part of the offense. Certainly, he's had a lot of receptions. I'm not sure how many he's had for the year, but he's the tallest guy that doesn't look tall I've ever seen. Like anytime I see him on the field, like I just don't see like, oh yeah, that dude, by the way, he's like 6'5". Like he doesn't. I don't know. The eye test, he looks like a running back to me. And I'm just way off.
I think it's the number that does it.
Yeah,
I honestly do.
Do you agree that if you just looked at our 11 on offense and 4's there, that he doesn't look tall?
No, he looks massive. Yeah, I mean, I think he does, but it's just the way he fills a jersey. I guess it's because he's had all of his like great games on the road, right? I'm not mistaken him by that. Am I? Yeah. I mean, like he had a good game at Southern Miss. And Charlotte, when we were white, I guess is another way to put it. As like as a jersey color, but it just, I don't know. It just
he runs a lot more loose and fluid for a tight end than I think I'm used to too. Like I feel like Kane and Hamlet and David, I feel like they run more like a tight end. I don't know how to explain it, but
it's different body type. Yeah, I think is what it comes down to.
Yeah, but really good. I mean, I'm not complaining.
Yeah, no complaints. Really good. Really like it.
Yeah, but you got to feel great, man, if you're JJ Cole, because you win your first game. It was a really as far as like game intention and back and forth and down to the wire. I mean, that Oregon State game was a classic, and you're going on the road. It's ring season or whatever they say. I mean, JJ's got to feel great. I mean, much better completion percentage. He did take some risks, but some of those passes he had over the top had great touch. And he had there were some drops there that didn't help him out very much. I thought that was a very, very good game. If AJ Swan is hurt, and now he's getting more healthier or whatever, I guess technically on that list he was listed as available, but I don't know. I think at this point, Charles, I don't know if you agree with me or not, I think JJ Cole's just the guy that you ride with until he gives you a reason not to.
Yeah, and there may have been some question marks earlier in the week about whether he was or he wasn't, or that maybe Swan was going to return. But and at that point, it may have just been, well, this is how I feel today. Like on Wednesday, I'm about there talk, and then you kind of think about it, and you're like, you know what, let's do the safe thing. right? If he's healthy, and he's earned it. And then he goes out there and he really earns it. Like it's one thing to go get a win against a team like an Oregon State that fired their coach today.
Oh, they did? Wow.
Oh yeah. This is Black Sunday for college football.
Yeah,
James Franklin, Belford's out at UAB. Yeah, it's and we're going to see, I guess, more of that. It's coming. This is just the beginning. I don't like that silly season starts in October. I really don't. Sometimes you.
I think so. If you think about it, though, I know this is kind of off subject, though, but to your point, Charles, like think of how it just makes zero sense to do what like Appalachian State did, and you fire a guy, and then you go speed dating officially, right, for a week, and you find the guy that's going to take over the most important program on campus. Versus now you have the ability to like send soft feelers out there and do things in a more reasonable timeline. I feel like
I just think it's that. Yeah, no, I mean, as an athletic director and people who make those decisions, sure, they don't care. But I mean, I just feel bad for the student athletes who.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what? I mean, it's like, well, you're 3-3. You still have a chance at going to a bowl game. Anything can happen. But you basically put the white flag up on your season that like we're not going to be competitive for the rest of the year. And then you do that like in week 6. Some guys have played 4 games and some haven't. And you're going to have this portal entry and these dudes who like maybe haven't played. You're going to have red shirts and decommitments, and it's like you start the damage control now. But it's not like they're Penn State situation, real quick, like they're not going to find a coach in a month. It's still going to be like at the end of the season because they got to talk to people who are probably still coaching to fill that role. So I don't know. Also, a lot of money to throw away. But as far as we're concerned, there's only I feel good about where we are right now, and I don't think that. Our kind of our stretch of this schedule is kind of a good spot. We all knew that the first 4 and/or 5 games would be really, really tough. Just feeling ourselves out and finding out who we are. And now we've seen a lot from the Sun Belt, and there's a lot of chaos out there. JMU looks strong. Texas State doesn't, and everyone can be had. And I really think this is a really down year. And like we've talked about in regular pods, like, you go and look at these box scores, you're like, I don't recognize anybody's name. It's like none of these people came back. Yeah. They're not with their school. They're all a bunch of transfers. And it's just like, it's hard to get to know the conference that way besides just box score looking. And like ours this weekend, like you're going to look at it and say, it looks a little funny, but it doesn't tell the whole story, right? I mean, the game is over in the third quarter, and then there's a bunch of offense by Georgia State at the end. And you're like, well, how did they lose? They ran more plays, and things like that. But there wasn't a lot of penalties. I think that was good on both sides. Georgia State was terrible team as far as penalty yardage is concerned, and we obviously weren't doing too hot there either. But I think at some point the refs were just kind of like, let's let them go. Let's just let them play, and maybe they did a little bit of that, too much of that, because there was 2 very interesting plays in this game where the officials, gave us a break in both situations. That was just, I know we could probably spend some time on that because I thought it was just insanity what I saw, but I wasn't going to complain about it, right?
Yeah. You talk about the punt that hit Jordan Favors on the leg.
Yeah.
I'm still confused about that.
So, and I look, I'm not someone who studies a rule book to the point, like I just watch a lot of football and whatever gets called, I see and I remember, and if the rules change, you try to keep up with it. But I think it was very, very ticky-tack on the blocking into, whether there was engaged or active blocking or whatever buzz term you want to use. But I still don't understand how the penalty never got walked off or that they placed the ball at the 5-yard line. Because then if it's active blocking, from what I can remember, like then it's like ball is dead there, right? Like at the at the site of the penalty, right? And I don't know why we got the ball at the 5-yard line. but whatever, it worked out.
I'm sure there's an angry email in somebody's
Oh,
inbox right now
certainly, yeah.
from a Georgia State email address. Yeah,
And then on the onside kick, I actually think that was the right call. I think contact was made. We had made a recovery. You don't get some time to wrestle the ball away from somebody. I think there used to be a time where there was a true scrum that you could do that, but I thought that was actually fine. But I can understand why Georgia State's mad about that one too.
Yeah, well, that's not what lost in the game.
No, absolutely not.
Not even close. And I know you know that. I'm not saying you're saying that, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then Old Dominion absolutely got smacked. They looked like for a second that they were the class of the conference. Not saying that they're not, by the way. They had a bad game. They got trounced by Marshall at Marshall. But yeah, now it's looking like as we're going week by week. Now I will say this: if you're looking at the film, if coaches are reviewing this, maybe this is similar to a Charlotte where you don't understand Georgia State's really bad. We really can't take a ton away from this. Okay, I'll concede that could be the case. I still think though, Cole's poise, not turning the ball over, the touch he had on some of those touchdown passes was encouraging. Whether Georgia State was really really bad or not.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's nice. It does feel like they were kind of selling out to stop the run, like DJ Smith outright said we were going to do to Georgia State. And a win's a win. You go on the road. I mean, David Jackson has been on here, in the early days of the Sun Belt journey, saying anytime you go on the road and win, really doesn't matter. That's a good thing. And so that's how I certainly feel. 4-2. With 6 games left,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if we don't get to bowl eligibility, it'll be a disappointment at this stage. Certainly a lot can happen. Key injuries. Who knows what's going on with the Binion and blah blah blah. But 4-2, sitting here on Sunday, October 12th. Okay, that's good.
I think everybody will take that. With 6 to play, and I would say 3 or 4 very winnable games left. It depends on how you want to look at it. I mean, you do have 4 games at home. That is huge going down the stretch. You got Coastal at homecoming, Georgia Southern, and Marshall and Arkansas State back-to-back at the end of the year. And then the 2 supposedly tougher-looking teams, Old Dominion and James Madison, are on the road. So, I mean, if we I don't want to project scheduling, but like if we got to 8-4 right now, and this is after coming off 2 wins, right? So we feel like we're unbeatable on top of the world. That would be very, very good. But almost like if we were 7-5, we might feel a little underwhelmed because that would probably mean we lost a home game. And 3 of those 4 teams aren't that great right now, and they're complaining about their own things. Not getting too far ahead, but Coastal has putrid offense. Georgia Southern has putrid defense. And Arkansas State has not done things as they would have expected either this year. Marshall obviously looks pretty strong with last week's win, but they were kind of, puttering around too. So we'll have to see what this week most importantly looks like, right? So the Coastal Carolina is the next one. It's the one that matters the most. And it's the one that we got to win next. We can't win any other game next before we beat them.
Yep. I think that's true. I think it's right. 8 and even the concept of saying, could this team go 8-4? I mean, I think it's pretty strong given, I think our lows were pretty low this season. But to Coach Loggins and that staff, I think they really do. I think they really are like number crunchers. I think they're kind of sleep at the office kind of guys to try to figure this stuff out. That's what it seems to me. One encouraging thing is that I really do think we've played 6 games. I think for 6 games our defense has had an identity and they've stuck to it. And I think they've basically looked like you can almost say, well, I know what the defense is going to look and feel like. And that's what they looked and felt like on Saturday. I'm always looking out there for number 2 and number 13. They were on the show. Obviously, been really happy to see McCantos. He plays with a lot of juice. Obviously, Colton Ferris is easy to see out there. Emory Floyd had some good hits out there on the outside, being physical. None of these like shoulder kind of body blocks or tackles. I like that. I like our defense having an identity of toughness in playing together. There's one thing that I don't want to jinx it. I'm gonna knock on wood here for a second. I know there have been some busted plays this year. I know that happens in every defense, cross communication. I get it. But it does feel like that was a problem last year with people not being where they're supposed to, busted plays, busted coverage, or whatever. It does feel like on the defensive side and this continued to yesterday, I just noticed this, that whether someone made a better play on us or what, but at least it felt like players were in position to make a play. And I think that if you could define why this defense has been effective, even though you probably can't identify 5, like, oh man, those are all playmakers. But I think they're being put in position. I think they're listening to their coaching and sticking to the strategy and the scheme of being where they need to be in order to make a play. Whether they make it or not, it is another thing. And they are more often than not. But I've been really encouraged this season by watching that. I think that's been good.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. You know where they're going to be, and like you said, plays will happen. But they, a lot of people got to play yesterday. I think that's the bigger part of it.
Yeah.
Because you just go and you look and see, and a lot of dudes were in on tackles. Some names that are at the top of the tackle list we're not really used to seeing, making a lot of tackles. Juan Burchell was getting in there. He had a nice decleater, so to speak. Somehow,
another one.
And Colton Ferris goes in there and gets an interception from the linebacker position. I mean, that's just huge. And we got in and broke some passes up as well. So I mean, we really kind of established ourselves a little bit. I mean, you're going to give up some pass plays, especially when teams have essentially they've got to sell out and they're not trying to run the ball, and especially at the point where you force them to know, or they know at that point, like, well, we're not good at this anyway, and they are proving us right once again that, like, we can't run the ball, and they're really good at it. I think that's been established, is we're gonna fill the box, we're gonna get our gaps, and we're not gonna give a lot of big plays in the run game. And it just goes to show, what we did. Once again, their quarterback Cameron Brown was their leading rusher for the game, and that's how it's been for them most of the time. And he still only had 30 yards, right? Yeah. And then have 2 other running backs at less than 20. I mean, that's incredible at any rate, and you'll take it. I don't know what else you can really say about how well the defense played and how well the offense complemented them yesterday.
Yeah.
A little bit of a slow start, but you take 17-0 on the road at half anytime, and then you just put them away. And that's what we did in the third quarter. We put them away and made it easy on everybody.
Yeah. It was, I'll share this for all the dads that are listening to this right now. So, we watched it catching up, basically watching it late. We didn't get to watch from kickoff, but I did the whole typical thing, like on an away game on a Saturday, where I don't look up anything, I don't check my phone, and we just watch together. That's the thing. Like, the kids can stay up as late as they want as long as they're watching the game. And so we're watching, and the score is going way up, and I get a freaking email from Appalachian State that says donate the score, and I knew that I wasn't going to get a donate the score email or whatever unless we had won. I was like, oh, I wish I wouldn't. But I mean, the score was that I knew we were going to win, but I knew at that point that it was 100%. So whatever, I know we're going to win. So I had my daughter, who doesn't care about the game at all. We were just kind of messing around, just kids running around, and I told my daughter, I said, come here, I'm going to tell you a secret about the game. And I whispered in her ear, I said, all right, after I'm done whispering in your ear, jump back and say, what do you mean Georgia State comes back and wins? Just say that and just see what your brother does.
No.
And so I did it. I whispered, and she goes, what do you mean Georgia State comes back and wins? And my son goes, what? They come back and win, Dad? Why did you say that? Blah, 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 blah. I don't know. They don't. And it took until Charles, there was 30 seconds on the clock. The rest of the game, he's like, all right, so they're not coming back. I'm like, no, they're not coming back. It was great. You got to mess with your kids every now and then.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do that because I don't want that coming back to me, but props to you for pulling it off.
What are you talking about, Dad? He was glued in the second half because I wouldn't tell him who won or lost. He's like, well, who like, come on, Dad, tell me. I was like, I'm not saying anything. You come on, were you kidding or not? You're kidding. I know you're kidding, but when they say that, they really don't know. You're kidding. I know you're
Yeah.
kidding. You don't really know if I'm kidding or not. It was great. It was great. So got a nice win. I want to shout out DJ Burks. Did listen to the pregame radio? They interviewed DJ Burks. His hype song before games is "Shook Ones Part 2" from Mobb Deep.
Okay.
And I have to play that in the car, edited for my son before. Now, usually we listen to those things before baseball games, but football games that also helps. And he's like, yeah, like that's my go-to pregame song. He's like, I love the movie 8 Mile. And then I realized DJ Burks was born after 8 Mile came out, and that kind of hit home a little bit. That all these guys were covering and listening to were not even born, Charles, when you graduated college.
There you go. Yeah.
DJ Burks was not even a thing when you had your diploma handed to you back in.
That's crazy to talk about.
Yeah, and he played well yesterday too. I like Juan Burchell, man. That's a true freshman right there.
Yep. Yeah, that's. I think with all the new names and faces, you kind of forget who's doing what and how long they've been around and all that good stuff. And then you realize you're like, hey, this is you kind of got to go look it all up, refresh your memory, and all those things, and then you realize like, well, we got this guy for a couple more years, and things like that. So it's always encouraging to see that kind of play. Virtual, Ferris, on and on. You can go on. So,
and credit to the Mountaineers, back-to-back games, no turnovers. That's
yep,
it's a big
no
deal.
turnovers, reduced penalties. Last week we had the fewest penalties we had all year. This week we had the fewest penalties we had all year. Might be tough to top this week, going to the next because it was so low. But keep it around 6 or less, and make sure the bad ones aren't really, really bad. Giving them first downs, giving them field position, things of that nature. So it's going to happen if you hustle, but just keep them on the low. So we've made some improvements in that area on as far as not turning the ball over and not making dumb mistakes.
That's right. 1-1 in conference play. A lot of Eastern foes. Just one Eastern foe out of the way. Have some more to face, but we're looking forward to it. Homecoming, Charles, your favorite day of the year, and the Coastal Kentucky Chanticleers. Don't look like the Coastal we've been used to the last few years. So it'll be interesting to dive into that more. But anyway, is there anything else that we need to talk about?
No, I don't think so. I think we've covered it. It's good when you feel like you're leaving a little short sometimes, right? You're like, it's such a good game. Like, it's like we dominated from start to finish. You feel like you're forgetting something, but I think we've hit it all.
No, that was as close as I felt to like we absolutely took care of business. Kind of put our foot on our throat a little bit, and I think we were looking for that in week 2. Didn't get it, and I feel like this is the one kind of came a little late. But so yeah, so all right. Well, that's it. That'll be it for. And we've totally, by the way, downplayed the fact we beat them 12 times in a row. Like we really worked that up over Louisiana. Yeah. Louisiana's way better. We beat them 8 times in a row and it about killed them. But 12 times in a row is, that's conference peer abuse. It's pretty brutal.
Yeah, it is, and they, the crowd yesterday at Georgia State for their homecoming was about as bad as it's ever been. Yeah, that I can remember. And there's always been jokes about Georgia State's crowd and all this and how nobody goes and the numbers are fudged and all this crazy stuff. But I mean, they overestimated by a ton.
Yeah,
by like 90%. I mean, and it looked like a gorgeous day yesterday.
Was
like in Atlanta. So that's you hate it for them a little bit, right? Because I mean, we got to go play in that atmosphere too, right? We put 35,000 in a game last week, and then we got to go play in front of like maybe 3,500 at best.
Oh, yeah.
At best, at best.
I think what's crazy, and obviously, like, I got into it on Twitter a couple years ago with these guys, but I don't know why you got it. I don't know why you got football. I don't know why you have it. I don't know why you field it. Um, I could say for UNC Charlotte, now we give them a lot of crap too, but like it's not compare. Like we can compare Charlotte to our crowds and say like, yeah, right. There's no comparison with Georgia State. Charlotte, at least, even though they have the same age of like startup programs, big, urban schools. Actually, Georgia State's actually in the middle of Atlanta, where UNC Charlotte's posted up behind IKEA. But the Charlotte crowds and the Georgia State crowds aren't even comparable. At least Charlotte shows up a little bit. Georgia State, I've never seen it, and so like I just wonder what they're doing. Like, why have this?
They're doing nothing. It looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, when you really think about it, they don't look like they're doing anything.
And I saw, I don't know if it's been more or not. I can't remember, but someone on there was like, "Well, why don't you just go to FCS? Don't you think you'd have a better time like winning? If winning's a problem," and he's like, "Well, who's showing up to bad teams? Well, then go to FCS and whatever." Like, yeah, no thanks. Like, hold on a second, cowboy. Like, is that the worst idea in the world besides just getting your teeth kicked in front of 300 people every week?
Well, that's what nobody wants to admit that.
No, of course not. But
that because what would come with it is they're not in the Sun Belt anymore either. So it's for them. It's about saving basketball face more than football,
I guess, and that's understandable. But I still like, man, you don't even homecoming. I don't know, like App State's not like a world beater right now, but it's Appalachian State. Come to your town, like you can't put a little bit of pride behind that. I don't know. It's messed up, but anyway. All right. Well, that's it for now. Thanks again to Appalachian Commercial Real Estate for sponsoring the post-game episode. We will have our Coastal homecoming. I'm sure Big C is going to be writing all sorts of wonderful, maybe poems about how much he loves homecoming here this week. So until our Coastal preview episode, go Apps.